Hey Tiny Planet Explorers, how's it going? Happy Sunday. PJ, what is going on? This is your third consecutive video within 3 days. Are you daily vlogging? No, I'm not. A couple of days ago I posted a behind the scenes video on my new animation Space Kid, which if you haven't seen, please do go watch it. It's on my main channel. And in the behind the scenes I showed a lot of what I get up to in making a video like that, and it's had a great response, so thank you very much for watching. However, there is one thing I missed out. Because I was so wired into just making it, I couldn't show every single step. One of the things I missed out was kind of the actual animating process. And a lot of people always ask, PJ, like, what do you use? How do you do it? So I thought I'd do a little video showing how I animate. I must stress though, I am not an animator. I completely self-taught. All the things I've learned I've just picked up along the way through trial and error and all sorts of things like that. So what I'm going to show you probably isn't the most intuitive way to animate. There are probably better ways, but this works for me. And you'll probably find that a lot of people who do animation and all sorts of kind of video editing have their own techniques and it works for them, so they roll with it. Like, that's what I do. This works for me, so I roll with it. Oh man, did Slurp just become a tutorial series? No, it didn't. First of all, I guess I'll quickly show you what I use, because a lot of people are like, hey, what tablet do you use? And I use a Wacom Intuos, I think it's called. I believe that's what it's called. I used to use a Wacom Bamboo, as probably a lot of animators do, but then it got discontinued and I wanted to buy a new one, and so they were just selling these ones. I can't remember what size this is, but Wacom do good tablets, but you don't need to splash out hundreds of pounds on a tablet if you're just learning to animate. So keep that in mind. So when I did Space Kid, I started by opening up Photoshop, as weirdly I do animation-y stuff in Photoshop. I've got a really convoluted way of animating. I'm telling you now, so you might not learn much from this. Who knows? So I'd make a new file. This is why I don't do tutorials, because my mind has gone blank. What did I do, PJ? What did I do? I scanned in my drawing of the end, which is here. I dragged it into Photoshop, and I said, okay, cool, I want it to be there on my canvas. So I got hair in my mouth. So for the simple text wriggle animation, I started by lowering the opacity of my layer here. I dropped a layer underneath it, filled it with white, and then I just locked that so I don't touch that. And then I make some new layers, and very simply, I just chose some colors that looked cool to me, and I chose a brush that looked kind of cool, and I essentially just, not like that. Okay, well, Jesus, PJ. I essentially traced it, but made it kind of rough. I didn't worry too much about it looking good, because I knew what kind of thing I was going for, and that was to give it ultimate wriggle. If you want to do this properly, you would probably be a little bit more careful, a little bit more true to what the lines were, the original lines. But like I said, I wasn't really going for that. I was going for as messy as humanly possible. So I very roughly went over the lines, and as you see, I'm putting them on different layers. We got red, we got blue, different layers, which means I can play with them separately later. You don't want to make the mistake of doing all your animation on one layer. That sounds really stupid, but in the past I have made the mistake doing a bunch of drawing all on one layer and then being like, oh crap, I can't change anything. I can't go in and change anything individually. So yeah, you got to remember that, guys. You got to remember to put them all on different layers there. Okay, I'll do a couple more to give you an example of how I do this, how I do that. Still just tracing the original image, making it super scruffy. If you're watching this and you have a very advanced knowledge of Photoshop and it looks like I'm doing something wrong, it's probably because I'm doing something wrong. I maybe don't know all the shortcuts. Like I say, the way I work, it works for me, but it's not necessarily going to work for everyone. This is just what I'm used to. This is the way I work quickly. So yeah, so if we turn on all our layers, you'll see that, wow, that's psychedelic. You'll see that we have all these different colors, all saying the end. You can still read that. If I turn off the background, you can still read that says the end. Like, it's not good. It looks like a 5-year-old did that with crayons, but hey, if that's the kind of thing you're going for, then this might be the thing for you. Right about now, I would just get rid of that back layer because we don't need it. And I would also I'd unlock this one and just get rid of that because we also don't need that. Now we have all these layers. Now, first of all, if you've never used Photoshop before and you're wondering what's the checkerboard background all about, this essentially means that it's transparent, which means if you take the image as a PNG and you put it over something else, there's no background. You just get what's drawn there, which is great. You don't want to just save it as one file though, because you're going to get this weird 5-year-old crayon drawing look, which we've already established is not what we want. So I go to File, Scripts, and then Export Layers to Files. I didn't learn this until a little while ago, and it's saved my life, because I like I say, I do a lot of animation in Photoshop. I don't use Flash or After Effects to animate, really. I got a lot of stuff and a lot of layers, so exporting them one by one takes ages. You don't want to do that. So you find destination. We'll just do the desktop, because that's nice and simple. Do not trim the layers, because that won't give you the full canvas size. That will just trim it down to the exact area of what you've drawn, which is not what you want. Unless it is what you want, then tick it. But in this case, it's not what you want. Transparency, yes. File type, okay, so I'm still kind of experimenting here. PNG 24, I should really look at what the difference between PNG 8 and 24 is. I'm going to do 24 because it's a higher number. Visible layers only, I mean, we'll have that ticked because all the layers we've got here are visible. Great. And then just run the script, and it'll basically export all of the layers for you as individual files, which saves you a buttload of time. Believe me, I used to export stuff one file at a time, like one layer at a time. I would turn off all the ones I don't want and then save it, and then it's a waste of time. Use the scripts. I recently discovered that. Again, it's probably a super simple thing, but hey, we're all human. We're all learning as we go along, right? Okay, so the next thing I would do is go into Final Cut Pro X, because yes, I am Satan, I use X. And I would drop in my layers, like that. Nice and simple. So we've got all of our layers just here. And I would drop them onto the timeline. And sure, whatever, why not? So they're all there, one after another, which is great, but they're like 10 seconds each, which is not an animation. 1, 2, 3. I just trim all the layers down until they're... 1, 2, 3. Until they're like 3 frames each. Okay, so once they're all trimmed down, look at that. Would you look at that? A quirky children's drawn animation. It's beautiful, but that's just like 6 pictures. What I do is just copy and paste. Oh, and it loops. It's magical. Is so magical. That's now like a second of animation. So now what I would do is literally just keep copying and pasting it until you've got as much as you want, which is, in this case, 22 seconds. The magical number, 22 seconds. All great animations are 22 seconds, trust me. Okay, so turn that into a compound clip. Now that's just one clip to do with as you please. You can move it around, you know, if you want it just to say the. If you don't want it to say the end, you can move it to the side. Now it just says the. It's like, let's shorten this down because nobody needs 22 seconds of the end flashing. Let's just make it 10 seconds. Okay, so we have a 10-second animation. I go to File, Share. There we go. We've exported it. It's playing. You can show that to your friends. You can put it on YouTube. Do whatever you want with it. This is the start of something beautiful. This is the start of your pathway to being an animator. I don't know why I'm making that sound so sarcastic, because I'm being serious. This is some very, very basics on how you might do some animation. And if you guys want to see some more, maybe I could try making some more videos like this. I'm not the greatest teacher, and that is mainly because I suck at teaching. Really difficult to get my mind around explaining things. I don't know why. I hope this has helped in some way. If there's anything else you'd like to see me try and teach you, then yeah, please leave a comment and I'll see what I can do. Cool. All right. See you later. Bye-bye.